Remember when your parents would say about that pile of toys in your arms at the store? You can pick one? Well, they of course meant well in teaching us self-control, and I think on the whole those lessons stuck. But then there comes that one thing that puts those lessons to task, and for me, that would have to be the 50th anniversary World's Greatest Superhero Action Figures from the Mego Corporation. An example of how far and away I ran from those lessons of youth is what seems to be the horde of Series 1 figures displayed on my desk that include 8 each of Superman, Batman, and Robin. Now, I would argue that this block came not from hoarding, but instead obsession. So, to break this obsession, I channeled my parents' words and committed myself to take them to heart with the Series 2 assortment. The challenge was simple. After running some errands, I would swing by my local Walmart that just received the Series 2 figures and pick up just one of them. Sure, there were things to consider in deciding what character to pick, but if I approached them with responsible collector's logic, I'd be in and out, right? So I decided I would narrow down and make my choice based on one of these 3 factors. A faithful reproduction Aquaman or Shazam would fit right in with the existing Series 1 figures I have. B, the Flash or Green Lantern would be new and exciting and thus fun and fresh. Or I could choose between the 2 short-packed figures, which in itself presented a riddle inside of a quagmire, since that decision would be split between a classic or a new, since the case assortment lined up with 2 each of Aquaman and the Flash and 4 each of Shazam and Green Lantern. Now, as I pondered, along came the most unexpected X Factor by the name of John. This was odd. See, watching him pick through the figures, I was genuinely shocked that for the first time in my 15 years in this town, that I actually met someone who was a fan of Mego action figures. And then once I realized he wasn't a scalper and he realized I wasn't all that crazy, he agreed to let me interview him for this video. And man, oh man, did I love hearing his story.
I like your thought about having to choose, because was always the case back in the day and is increasingly the case now.
So we're going to grab the whole set today, right?
I'm going to have to make some hard decisions too. I know I'm going home with Aquaman, but I've got some of these original, but I've had mixed feelings about the new ones that they didn't make, so I'm not sure about those yet. But other than that, I love having ones that aren't falling apart in the case. And I'd like to have a couple of them around open. I don't keep 2 of each, but I have a kid that I babysit. And so I try to get as many like old toys in his hands as possible, kind of redo the whole situation that turned me into a toy guy. But my great aunt, we used to have to stay at her house, and it was super boring. But for some reason, she had a bunch of Megos she bought at a yard sale. And so when we were over at her house, we could play with them. So that kind of, they were like legendary status in my mind, because that was when we got to hang out with them. So.
All right, now it's my turn to stick to my guns and make a choice of picking only one. So what did I do? Who did I choose? Why did I choose that one? What is the moral of the story? Well, I walked away from the collectible section and smiled. I had applied self-control and used my weird form of collection logic to go chronological. You see, way back when, Aquaman was one of the original 4 releases that included Superman, Batman, and Robin. So, the moral of the story. Self-control is still possible in an on-demand, I-want-it-now world. Plus, it's incredibly satisfying to know that in the most unexpected ways and at the most unexpected times, we all have opportunities to connect with like-minded folks and share stories and moments, so long as we're willing to accept a challenge. Now, go play.
I'm John. Make mine me.
Oh, it's the Aquaman. I'm like, ugh.